What's up, fellow YouTubers? Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Rock64 single board computer. I really like this computer. This just came in the mail the other day. I took it out of the box. I threw the box away. The box looks really nice, but that doesn't really matter. Basically what I really like about this board and why I ordered it is because on your standard Raspberry Pi, you have the regular, small micro USB jack on the side, kind of like this. This is something else I'm going to review. This is a clip-on lens for the phone, because I don't know if you know or not, I actually use a Samsung Galaxy S5 phone with a mounted boom mic on top to do my YouTube videos. And this is basically an attachment. It's got a really nice bright LED light on it, so you could take selfies or just do some random videos. That way you could smooth out your light. It's a fill light basically. And on the Raspberry Pis, this is plugged in really hard. You got the standard micro USB jacks, and this is kind of tough to get in and out. I have come to learn that if you have to reboot your Raspberry Pi because it is frozen up, and it does it quite often, as it does with Kodi, which is Jarvis, the Jarvis 17.2, 17.3 version. I don't remember which one it is, but it tends to lock up a lot. Oh, lens cap. But it tends to lock up a lot, and I had a couple people that they were using it, and it started to fray the inside of the micro USB. And the problem with that is then you could plug in the power for the micro USB, and then the cord will just fall out, which I really do not like that. Excuse me. But on the Raspberry Pi, it has that, and it's really kind of an issue for me. And the Raspberry Pi is anywhere from $35 to $38, depending on where you purchase it from. Mainly I was buying them from Amazon, but I found that if you go to Pine64's website, you can buy them from them directly. At least I think it's directly. It's probably not directly. It's probably going through some middleman, but the Raspberry Pi on Amazon, the Raspberry Pi 3 in particular, is anywhere from $35 to $38, depending on the supplier. Now this Pine64, well, this isn't a Pine64, this is a Rock64. I got the beefier model. I wanted 64-bit architecture for what I was doing. Excuse me. And basically, with the Rock64, I want to say it's about $44, maybe $45. It's just a few dollars more than the Raspberry Pi 3. But the reason why my Rock64 was, say $45, we'll just go with that, is because I got the 4 gig of RAM chip installed on it instead of the standard 1 gig. The 1 gig Rock64, or even if you get the Pine64 with the 1 gig model, that is around about $30. It's just a little bit cheaper than the Raspberry Pi. It does use the ARM7 processor. So, and I think the Raspberry Pi 3 uses the new ARM8. I barely remember. I've been going through all sorts of other little motherboards. Excuse me, got a little bit of a cold. But this one, well, if you could also pump up to the 2 gig model, and the 2 gig model was the exact same price as the Raspberry Pi 3, but it had 2 gigs of RAM, or you could jump up to the 4 gig model, which was a few dollars more than a Raspberry Pi 3. And the beauty of them all is instead of using the micro USB power, they use a DC barrel jack. I love that. It plugs in, it's hard, it's there, it's not going to flop out. If it warbles out, 3 solder joints, you can pop it off, put a new one on, and solder it right back on. See, and let me turn that around here. As you can see, I still have my SD card in there. They labeled it 4 gig, and of course, when I booted it up, with the operating system I installed on the SD card, it did read at 4 gigs. The operating system I actually have on this is I'm running Android 7.1.2, which that is Android Nougat. I'm actually running Android Nougat on this little bad boy, and it is a snappy little processor, even though it is, you know, just slightly older than the Raspberry Pi 3. It's really snappy. Of course, the Raspberry Pi 3, you know, people are trying to make Android run on that, but I think they can only get up to like 6.0 if they're lucky, and then it's not stable. I don't know. It's just people posting in forums, so I don't know if any of it's actually true or not. But back to the Rock64. Of course, you'll also notice that it only comes with 2 2.0 USB ports, which that's not a real deal breaker for me, because you do get one 3.0 USB port, and you get your standard gigabit port here for your RJ45 jack, which that's nice. The jack on here is just like the Raspberry Pi 3, your AV jack, you could call it. It actually supports video, so I haven't tested it to see if it works off of the Zoom audio video cord cable that I bought for my Raspberry Pi 3s. But I'm assuming it's probably wired up the same. I'll have to test that later. My video capture card, I had to get a new one because my old one, well, it was old. It does not work on Windows 10. So I had to buy a new one. I bought it off of geekwish.com, which that's actually where I bought some of my LED lights I'm using to amplify my lightage here. I definitely needed more light because everybody was, you know, giving me comments, which is, you know, that's cool. You know, I say, hey, leave comments in the section below. I actually mean it. Somebody actually sent me a message. It was actually ETA Prime. He suggested that I get more lighting in my video. So I bought this light ring. It's like $1 from GeekWish. And as you can tell, it's shining plenty of light down here in my Rock64 processor and chipset. One beautiful thing about this, though, is like with the Raspberry Pi, you can run SD card only. Now with the Banana Pi, I actually have that packed away because I'm going on a business trip. I won't be back till probably Tuesday. But my Banana Pi, my stock Banana Pi, because it's the M2. I really wanted an M3, but they sent me an M2 for free, which was nice of them. The M2 on the Banana Pi can only use SD card. On the M3, well, actually, incorrect on that. It has a SATA port on the Banana Pi that you can plug a SATA drive into and then boot it off of the SATA drive, which that's nice. But what I like about the Rock64, granted there is no SATA drive on this board, but I do have an eMCC chipset. Well, I don't have it on here. It's coming in the mail. It got delayed because they were on back order, unfortunately, but I got a 64 gigabyte eMMC flash drive, chipset. So basically, this right now has Android 7.1 installed on the SanDisk 32 gig card. And when my eMMC flash chip comes in, I'm going to install that, and then basically I'm going to install Android 7.1 onto the, onto the chipset, and then I'm just going to put a 64 gig card in here to use it as file storage, just like you would with a normal tablet, which I think that's pretty awesome. And of course we got your standard power buttons. You got power and reset. Oh, and if you're wondering what that is, I'm sorry, I skipped right over this old bad boy. This is an infrared receiver. Hopefully the camera can zoom right in on that there. That's an infrared receiver that's looking like, well, shoot, looking like a Cyberman from Doctor Who. But yeah, that's an infrared receiver right there on top. And they actually sell the remote that works with the receiver, and they sell it for like $5, I think it was. It's $6 with shipping and handling. So you can use it as basically a streaming kind of set-top box, which that's what I'm converting this one into. Buddy of mine, I actually went and bought 3 more, and a buddy of mine got wind of it, and he's like, oh, hey. So his brother went and purchased the other 3 that have not even got here yet. Actually, I'm probably just going to run this one out to him as soon as I get it done. Whoops, it's upside down. As soon as I get it done on Wednesday night, I'm going to run this out and then continue on building the others. But yeah, that pretty much breaks it down for the Rock64. And camera probably won't be able to zoom on it, but this is a Rock64 version 2.0. Its manufacture date is July 13th, 2017. So this was pretty recently put together. Literally over a month and a half ago, maybe 2 months ago, you could say. It's September now. Yeah, it's past September 13th, so yeah, 2 months ago. That's not bad. At least it's new. I like the new. But yeah, basically with this, I'm converting them into, basically I'm turning them into Android set-top boxes. Kind of like the NVIDIA Shield. I mean, it won't have the Tegra GPU on it, obviously, which would be nice, but I think it would then cost me a lot more than $45. Probably more like $245. Well, maybe $145 since it's just the motherboard. But, you know, that's still not bad. But with the operating system being on the 64 gigabyte eMMC, it will boot up a lot faster than what it's booting up now. Right now, running on the SD card, it actually, I timed it, it takes 3.5 minutes to boot up to where I get into the OS. And then, you know, I'm at the Android TV, in which it looks just like the menu for the NVIDIA Shield. You know, it doesn't look like no cheezo menu like you can see sometimes on those Chinese set-top boxes. Or even the MX, I forgot what series they were. I used to have an old MX box and it had Kodi on it back when it was XBMC. But I messed up the OS on it, and Raspberry Pis, I discovered Raspberry Pis and I went on to that. And then eventually I evolved. I am now up at the Rock chips. But also, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and install a very light version of Linux. I don't know how well that will work. I probably have to install a full Linux OS on here, but basically I want to install like, you know, like a light version of Linux on there, so that way I can run, say, like Emulation Station or something like that, and then play Nintendo 64 games without fail. Because, I mean, let's face it, it's got 4 gigs of RAM. I'll be running off an eMCC 64 gigabyte, you know, basically for all intents and purposes, it's almost like a solid state drive. But, you know, it's onboard RAM. It's onboard ROM, I should say. And I think that will actually prove itself. Because a lot of people, I saw reviews that people are doing on this particular board for the Rock64, but they're only going with 2 gigs. Some of them are only going with 1 gigs. And they're, you know, the ones with 1 gigs are having a little bit of a lag issue. The 2 gigs, they still have a little bit of a lag issue. It spikes here and there. You know, it runs fine, then it kind of lags, it kind of bogs down, especially when they get to the Yoshi levels. But with this, I'm up in the game because I got a 4 gig. I'm like, I wanted a 4 gig. I found it trolling around on the internet, and somebody in one of the Raspberry Pi forums mentioned the Pine 64, and you know, of course, I had to jump all over it. So, ironically, I just noticed this too. The board itself is colored in an evergreen, a dark evergreen color. I just noticed that. Wow, I've had this board for like 4 days, and I just noticed it's evergreen. The color of the board is actually evergreen. See, like my background here, my cutting board, which this is like a paper cut board, paper cutting mat. This is like a solid green. I forgot what its actual color tone is called. But this board, it's not actually black. Hopefully this white light, hopefully it doesn't have too much magenta into it. I haven't done any color testing. It is late at night. I've actually, early in the morning, it's 5:17 a.m. I've been up for 24 hours straight now. I'm having an insomnia problem, so I figured, hey, time to make some videos. I missed my Friday night video by 5 hours, but I got it out there. It's good. It's golden. why not? But yeah, I just now noticed this evergreen color. That's really awesome. I'd show you startup of it, and I actually have another SD card that is my 64 gig SD card that I'm going to use for storage. I keep turning it upside down. And it has, not Raspbian, yeah, Debian. I installed Debian on it, and man, for this having just a slightly older processor than the Raspberry Pi 3, it is so much faster than the Raspberry Pi 3. And of course, a lot of people... Alright, a little bit of a technical glitch there. Always remember, if you use your phone to record YouTube videos, number one, get yourself a nice Konica VS08 or a VS10. Or if you want to spend the extra $15, get the Rode mic that plugs into smartphones. They're worth the money. Gives you good audio, because I'm actually using a cell phone for this. The second thing you need to remember is put it into airplane mode if you're going to do a video. Otherwise, if somebody sends you a text, or if you get an email, or somebody sends you a Facebook pop, boom, it stops your video recording process. It's not fun. But, like I think I was saying before, this card has got Android. I'm going to put Mupin64 Plus on it. Basically do a side-by-side comparison of other people. Other people have been using the 2 gig model or the 1 gig model to try and run Android and then run Mupin64 Plus and see how well the games run. Myself, of course, you saw, I upped the game. I brought out the 4 gig guy. Got the big one out. And of course, then it'll run even better when I have the eMCC flash on here, the 64 gig eMCC flash that I ordered. It'll run even better. It definitely should be able to run Mupin64. With running, I'd say like Paper Mario or Super Mario 64. The definite one to play is Super Mario Brothers Brawl and get it to the Yoshi level, and then just attack with multiple Yoshis attack you, so that way they all come in at you really hard. That's how you bog it down. That's how you test that thing. But yeah, there's that. You run it on Android, and my other choice is to put Debian on the flash and then install, say, like Big Box or Emulation Station or something like that, and then test it that way. Of course, you could always just load up Linux, and of course, to cut the middleman out, just leave Emulation Station alone and just install the emulator itself for Linux. Of course, Big Box, it likes to install the best emulator possible, which is nice. Yeah, I don't remember what the Pi P5 ports are for there. Shoot, I might have to look that up. It is late, super late at night. In the morning, I guess you could say. But you get standard GPIO pins as well, which is nice. I might have to find my instruction manual. It's a digital instruction manual. But it actually tells what the other pins are for, which is really cool. And I don't know if I got to it before my audio got cut out, but the HDMI port actually puts out 4K. So $45 right there for an Android TV set-top box. You can run it off of an SD card just fine. You don't have to get the eMMC flash, but it's so much handier to have the eMMC flash. So that way it boots up just as long as it takes to boot up a regular NVIDIA Shield for your TV. Because I've got one of those out in the front room. I actually use that quite a bit out there. But that's $200 device. I don't want to take that on road trips. But if I have to take business trips, this is what I would take. Because, hey, if it gets lost or stolen, it was only $45. I can go get another one, whereas the NVIDIA Shield is $200, $300, depending on which model you purchased. Then that would that's not cool. But yeah, go ahead and subscribe, like, go ahead and like the video and leave comments in the section below. Let me know more of what you want to see. I've had comments that people want. Slight bit of a technical glitch. Phone just went all wonky. I don't know what's going on. I gotta check that out. But yeah, this has been Guy, the IT guy. Go ahead and leave comments in the comment section below. Give me a thumbs up, give me a like, and give me a subscribe. Go ahead and subscribe so that way you can keep on future updates. Click the little bell thingy, so that way you receive notifications on the next updates. And this has been the Rock64. It's a nice SBC. You need to get one. Thank you, folks.